everybody, and welcome to this deep dive. We're tackling winter care for Cane Corsos today.
Oh, excellent topic.
Yeah, winter's coming, and we got a bunch of great questions from listeners about how to get ready.
Yeah.
You guys sent in a ton of great resources too. Cane Corso podcast, a bunch of articles all about winter care. So let's dive in and unpack this together.
Sound good.
Are you ready to become a winter weather pro for your furry friend?
I love that. A winter weather pro. And it all starts with understanding why winter warmth is so crucial for Cane Corsos.
Yeah.
Especially since they weren't exactly designed
Yeah.
for, sub-zero temperatures.
Right, yeah. Those short coats might look tough, but they're not exactly parkas.
Exactly.
So beyond just being uncomfortable, what health risks do we need to be aware of?
That's a great question. Cold weather can really affect them in a lot of ways.
Okay.
It's not just shivering and just comfort. It can actually lower their immune system, making them more vulnerable to things like kennel cough or even, more serious respiratory infections.
Well, I didn't realize it could impact their immune system.
Yeah.
So what are the key things that we can do to keep them safe and toasty?
Well, the podcast we looked at really emphasized limiting outdoor time during extreme cold.
Okay.
Quick potty breaks are fine, but anything longer really requires some extra protection.
Oh, so those Arctic expeditions are off the table.
Exactly. Think of it this way. If you wouldn't want to be out there in a t-shirt,
Right.
your Cane Corso probably doesn't either.
That's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
And speaking of staying warm, one of the articles mentioned that Cane Corsos have a higher metabolism than some broods.
Yes.
Which means...
It means they burn more calories just staying warm.
Oh.
So you might notice your Cane Corso gets a little hungrier in the winter.
Okay.
Adjusting their food intake to account for that extra energy expenditure can make a big difference in maintaining their body temperature.
That's fascinating. I never knew their metabolism played such a key role.
Oh, yeah.
So we've covered limiting outdoor time, adjusting their diet.
Uh-huh.
What about creating a warm haven for them inside?
Well, that's where the nest instinct comes in.
Okay.
Cane Corsos love to burrow and feel secure. So creating a cozy den is essential. Things, warm blankets, soft beds, maybe even a few extra layers for them to snuggle into.
So it's all about channeling their inner den maker.
Exactly.
What about those times when going outside is unavoidable, even for short periods?
This is where a well-fitted coat or sweater comes in.
Okay.
But it's not just about fashion.
Oh, I bet they do rock that winter wear, though.
Oh, absolutely.
But I get your point. There's a practical reason behind it.
Absolutely. A good coat adds a crucial layer of insulation.
Yeah.
Especially for their chest and belly, which are more vulnerable to the cold.
Okay.
And don't forget those paws. They're directly on the cold ground and susceptible to icy conditions.
Ah, yes. I can imagine those giant paws hitting the icy pavement. Not fun. So booties are a must.
Booties are great if your dog tolerates them. They offer protection from ice, snow, and that sneaky culprit, salt,
Right.
that can really irritate their skin.
Yeah.
But if booties are a no-go, then wiping those paws with warm water and a towel after every walk is absolutely essential.
Got it. Paw care is key. What about making those indoor spaces extra cozy beyond just their bedding?
Think warm surfaces throughout the house. Rugs, mats, anything to create those little islands of warmth for them to lie on.
I like that.
And be strategic about bed placement.
Okay.
No chilly drafts from windows or doors.
Okay, so no icy blasts for these pups.
Exactly.
But something else comes to mind. Even with all these precautions, how do we know if our Cane Corso is actually feeling the chill?
That's where being a winter weather pro really comes in.
Okay.
Recognizing those subtle signs of coldness can help you prevent more serious problems.
So what should we be looking out for? Shivering is obvious.
Shivering is a big one, absolutely.
Right?
But also watch for things like holding their paws up, seeking shelter, or even whining or barking more than usual.
Yeah.
They might seem anxious or uncomfortable, just generally out of sorts.
Those are good things to keep in mind. It's like learning their cold weather language.
Yes. Exactly.
Are there any signs that we should consider red flags?
Definitely.
Okay.
Requiring immediate action. Yes.
Yeah.
If you notice more extreme behavior, like lethargy, weakness, or disorientation,
Right.
those could be signs of hypothermia,
Oh, no.
which is a dangerous drop in body temperature.
So hypothermia is a real risk for dogs, especially in extreme cold.
Unfortunately, yes.
Wow.
And it requires immediate veterinary attention.
Okay.
But the good news is that most cases can be prevented with proactive care.
That's reassuring. So
Yeah.
being observant and taking those preventative measures can really make all the difference.
Exactly. It's all about being tuned into your dog's needs and responding accordingly.
Well, so far we've covered the importance of limiting outdoor time,
Right.
adjusting their diet, creating a cozy indoor haven,
Uh-huh.
and recognizing those early signs of coldness. But there's so much more to uncover in our deep dive. What else have we got?
Well, let's tackle a question that comes up a lot.
Okay.
Does the Cane Corso really need a coat in winter?
Okay.
Some people think it's just for smaller dogs,
Right.
but the answer might surprise you.
Okay. Let's get into that. I'm actually curious myself.
Yeah. Yeah, it turns out there's more to it than just, the thickness of their fur.
Right.
Things like age, body fat, activity level, and even underlying health conditions can make a big difference in how well they tolerate the cold.
So a young, energetic Cane Corso romping in the snow might not need a coat,
Exactly.
but a senior dog with arthritis might.
Exactly. And that's where the touch test comes in.
Okay.
One of the articles suggested feeling your dog's ears, paws, or belly.
Mm-hmm.
If those areas feel cold to the touch,
Okay.
they're probably feeling the chill, and a coat could make them much more comfortable.
The touch test. I love how simple and practical that is.
Yeah.
So let's say we determine our Cane Corso does need a winter wardrobe. What should we look for in a coat?
Fit is absolutely crucial. It should be snug, but not restrictive,
Okay.
allowing for full range of motion,
Gotcha.
and make sure it covers their chest and belly well.
Right.
Those are key areas for warmth.
So no oversized baggy coats? Makes sense. What about materials?
Oh, yeah.
Are certain fabrics better than others for warmth and protection?
Water-resistant materials are a must,
Okay.
especially if you live in a snowy or rainy climate.
Right.
And look for coats with a warm lining like fleece or down.
Okay.
Imagine it like a little sleeping bag for your dog.
That's a great visual. Cozy and practical.
Yeah.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit and talk more about maximizing indoor comfort.
Okay.
We already touched on rugs and mats,
Uh-huh.
but one of the articles went deeper into bed placement.
Yes. It's about being really strategic and thinking about factors like floor type and heat sources.
Okay, so if we have cold tile floors,
Yeah.
putting their bed directly on the floor might not be the best idea.
Right. An elevated bed would be much better in that situation.
Okay.
It keeps them off the cold surface and allows for some air circulation underneath.
Clever. And what about those tempting heat sources? Like radiators or fireplaces?
Oh, yeah.
Should we be concerned about them getting too close?
Definitely. Cane Corsos can overheat just like any other dog.
Okay.
So keep their bed away from direct heat sources.
All right.
And always supervise them around fireplaces or space heaters. Safety first.
Always. One thing I found interesting in the articles was the idea of providing warm surfaces, not just for sleeping,
Right.
but for lounging too.
Yes. They spend a lot of time just hanging out.
Yeah, they do.
So why not make those spaces extra cozy?
Makes sense. Any ideas beyond their bed?
Think soft throws on couches or chairs.
Okay.
Cozy cushions in their favorite spots. If you have sunny windows, those sun puddles are a natural way to warm them up.
Sun puddles. I love that image.
Oh.
Now, speaking of spending more time indoors, one thing that worries me about winter is keeping my Cane Corso entertained.
Oh.
They're so active.
Yes.
And I don't want them to get bored or restless with less outdoor time,
Yeah, that's a valid concern.
especially those high-energy pups.
One of the articles offered some great solutions, recommending interactive toys and indoor games
Okay.
to keep them mentally and physically stimulated.
I'm all ears. What kind of things did they suggest?
Puzzle feeders are fantastic
Okay.
for mental stimulation.
Yeah.
They have to work a bit to get their food,
Uh-huh.
which keeps them engaged.
Right.
And for physical activity, indoor fetch or hide and seek can be a lot of fun.
Those sound like great ways to turn the whole house into a playground.
Exactly. It's about getting creative and making the most of your indoor space.
Yeah.
They also mention teaching new tricks or commands indoors.
Oh, that's a good one. Keeps their minds sharp and strengthens that bond we share.
Exactly.
So even with limited outdoor time, there are plenty of ways to keep our Cane Corsos happy and engaged during winter.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And remember, even a short walk in the fresh air can do wonders for both their physical and mental well-being.
True. A change of scenery can be invigorating for both of us.
Yeah.
So we've covered a lot of ground, from the importance of coats and the touch test to creating cozy indoor spaces and keeping them entertained.
Right.
We even discussed how their metabolism plays a role and how to recognize those subtle signs of coldness,
Uh-huh.
right? But there's one more thing I wanted to discuss before we wrap things up.
Okay.
It's something that was touched on briefly in the podcast.
Yeah.
but deserves more attention.
Yeah.
The idea of senior Cane Corsos and those with health conditions being more sensitive to cold temperatures.
That's a really important point.
Yeah,
It's easy to forget that not all dogs experience winter the same way.
exactly. What are some specific things we should be mindful of when it comes to these more vulnerable pups?
Well, for starters,
Yeah.
it's important to remember that senior dogs and those with health conditions often have a lower tolerance for cold.
Right?
Their bodies might not regulate temperature as efficiently, and they could be more susceptible to things like arthritis,
Right.
which can worsen in cold weather.
So we need to be extra vigilant with those pups.
Yeah.
What are some ways we can make winter a bit easier on them?
Well, think about providing extra warmth and support.
Okay.
A heated bed can be a game changer,
Yeah,
especially for older dogs with achy joints.
like a little personal sauna for their joints. That's a great idea.
Exactly. And remember those warm surfaces we talked about?
Mm.
Rugs, mats, cozy throws. Those become even more important for senior dogs.
So prioritize comfort above all else. Anything else we should keep in mind?
It's always a good idea to talk to your vet about any specific concerns you have
Right.
regarding your dog's health and winter care.
Okay.
They can offer personalized advice and might even recommend supplements or medications to help manage certain conditions.
Always good to have that expert guidance. So to wrap things up,
Yeah.
we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
From understanding why winter warmth is so crucial for Cane Corsos to creating a cozy haven for them both indoors and out. We've learned about the importance of recognizing those subtle signs of coldness
Yes,
and the extra care that senior or health-compromised dogs might need.
definitely.
We even talked about their metabolism and how they might need a little extra fuel to stay warm.
Right.
And let's not forget the touch test.
Oh, the touch test.
Such a simple but effective way to gauge their comfort level.
Absolute.
But before we go, I want to leave you with something to ponder.
Okay.
We focused a lot on physical warmth and comfort,
Yeah,
but what about their mental and emotional well-being during winter?
that's a good point.
How can we ensure our Cane Corsos stay mentally stimulated and engaged even with limited outdoor time,
Yeah,
especially those high-energy pups?
that's a fantastic question, and one that deserves further exploration.
So, dear listener, I encourage you to continue this deep dive on your own.
Absolutely.
Get creative, find what works for you and your furry companion.
Yes.
And remember, even though winter brings some challenges, it can also be a time for extra snubbles, indoor adventures, and strengthening that special bond you share.
I love it.
Stay warm out there.